Today we're going to look at a scheduled build, more like looking at the whole package. I've chosen one that I've built that is for preventive maintenance work being done to pieces of equipment. As you can see here, these are different pieces of fleet equipment. These are just the fleet identifiers that are used. They are the activity names. We have a sub WBS. Under EEC, we have maintenance trip, so we have an overall project. In laying out this schedule for EEC, EEC is a place. This is the equipment that needs to be worked on. I've used a level of effort stretched out as an indicator to define or hold the length of time it will take from start to finish to perform the work described in each of these activities. This is remote work. There is travel, the travel Anchorage to EEC. The project repair not in maintenance has to do with other work a mechanic will do on site during the time period that he's there, that is actual repair work. You have to think about what it is that you want out of a schedule as you build it. So this layout right here, these are all just finish to start, finish to start, finish to start. The relationships between each machine activity. It gives us the ability to determine how many days it will take to complete all this work. You'll see here where it says ATV 9 steps. Right here. ATV trailers 5 steps. ATV side-by-sides 5 steps. In these 3 activities, I used steps, 1 step being 1 ATV in this example right here. I did this because the ATVs requiring maintenance are very, very similar in scope to what has to be done. So I create a PDF of this schedule, and then in our next schedule here, this is the same schedule where I have went through each of the relationships between all these different machines and broken the relationship that was finished to start. Now what we have is the travel Anchorage to EEC right here has to finish before all of these can start. And all of these machines and their work requirement have to finish before travel EEC to Anchorage can start. I've done this because I don't know when the work will be done or in what order for each of these activities. As you can see, the level of effort that is the on-site work is held open by the LOE and anchor. LOE and anchor just means level of effort. And anchor, it is tied down with a constraint. This particular activity right here. And it's just a milestone, a finish milestone. It is an acceptable use of a constraint to do this. I want a visual for my client to be able to see the duration, the overall duration of completing all this work. And in this way, I can accurately track it. I can show an open time period for completing this work. So within this schedule and these activities, there are expenses and labor. We have estimated expense, estimated labor, estimated total cost. The labor resources are the mechanic and the actual machine, but the machine has a zeroed out cost, so it does not affect the totals. The estimated expense is the actual maintenance parts to complete each machine's maintenance. And we'll see that in just a minute. This report is a report that I defined out of P6 to generate the narrative behind the schedule. Each one of these activities, B79, they have a narrative that follows with them. You'll find here, you have 3 resources. You got the man hours that have been budgeted for it, our starts and finishes, all of our cost, our estimated cost is here. Travel, right here. Anchorage to Eek. We have notebook topics will show up over here and the notebook description. So I'm using expense items, I'm using resources, and I'm using notebook topics. Farther down we're going to see the steps also. We'll scroll down to that. As you can see, this is a PDF. It's an easier way to look at this. There's 26 pages in this total PDF. So there's quite a bit of information here. I will just scroll down through it. Another thing I'll say about doing it this way is that this machine right here, okay, we can hear and see, come down here and see that this resource name is an 8 kW light tower. All right. The light tower has 0 hours budgeted to it. That is so that we don't affect cost erroneously. The mechanic is expected to spend 4 hours completing his work on this light tower. This is a reference to a QuickBooks purchase order for the materials. That'll be the belts and filters and oil and any other thing that's needed to complete the work. On our next page, ATV side-by-side is just one of the steps that I described. So 5 steps simply means it's an indicator that you need to look at the steps. It's for anyone else that may touch the schedule. This is a fleet identifier, ATV SS side-by-side, number 32. What it is, what's required on it. In this instance, this activity will not complete until each of these steps is complete. Each step has a start and a finish and a completed checkbox. So it's easy to track the actual work that's done. B79, right here. B, it's an excavator. We can come down here, see that right here it is a 2014 Bobcat E35 compact excavator. Again, 0 hours. The mechanic is expected to spend 20 man hours, it's important to know, to complete this scope. This is pulling the notebook topic, one called scope, that describes machine hours and what needs to be done on this machine. So this report that was pulled from P6, once defined, will always give you the most current information from your schedule. The 9 steps of the ATVs, each one is here. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down through this pretty fast. The report is pretty simple. Bottom of the report, overall duration of the entire schedule, which includes the buyout in the beginning and through finish. Budgeted expense cost, which is all the materials, mechanic labor cost, and the budgeted total cost. This is just what we expect it to cost. This is an estimate of work that needs to be completed. This particular thing we're looking at here now is a QuickBooks PO, which it has a number. You saw the number in the expenses above. It was QB PO number. This would be 9312. This B90 is an excavator. This is all of the material needed to complete the work that was called out for B90. And this is actually in QuickBooks. It's an easy way to extract and purchase the materials needed. Also lists a vendor. So I have the rest of the documents. We're on page 11 out of 26. The rest of the PDF documents in here refer to the supplies needed or materials needed. HT is a heavy truck. Heavy truck 123 is an end dump. Okay, so in most companies you have identifiers. We're going to go back up here, beyond a report, to make another important point. This is the build out for this schedule. This is not at the point that you baseline it. You're not done building this schedule until you're at the point where you're going to use it. There's no more information to add. So here, when I'm at this point, and I'm not going to add any more information to it, and I'm not going to change anything else, then I create a baseline. And the baseline for this schedule is simply called EEC PM trip. I believe I called it November too. But the point is, you need to set a baseline right here. That is your primary baseline, or your base, or your initial, whatever you want to call it, your beginning baseline to track this. Because if I went to, for instance, Elam or Hughes and was looking at a schedule in there or a block of work in there, and I set my current active baseline to project for Hughes instead of EEC, it's not going to accurately represent what we had planned. The baseline will not match. So it's important to know in a schedule or in a layout like this that an individual baseline refers to one block of work. EEC, maintenance trip in this instance, will have its own baseline. Lower CalSCAG will have its own baseline. Scammon Bay, its own baseline. When you're doing an analysis of how well this block of work is performing, you need to set it to the correct baseline. That's all I'm saying. So this is a work product. This is a build on a specific schedule. You can think of it as object-oriented programming if you have a programming background where this is an individual object. This is a block of work as its own thing. So I hope this has helped. I'm assuming, of course, that you know how to create relationships, what a level of effort bar is, what individual activities are, how to actually use the piece of software. If you have any questions or would like to explore a different way to lay out a schedule, leave me a comment.